Hi, my name is Raina DeJute, and this is my concepts video for Module 15. The purpose of this video is to explain 3 of the more challenging technical concepts I worked with this module in my own words. These were genuinely new to me, so I'm going to explain them the way that I came to understand them. The first concept is SEO, which stands for Search Engine Optimization. Before this module, I thought of SEO as a marketing tool, keywords, and so on. What I learned is that a big part of it is technical, and it's really about making a page understandable to machines, not just people. A search engine doesn't see your page the way a human does. It reads the underlying HTML. So things like having a meta description, a short summary of what the page is, and having a valid robots file that tells search engines what they're allowed to look at, those are signals that help make a machine make sense of your page. In my project, Lighthouse flagged that my login page had neither of those. Once I added a meta description and a valid robots file, my SEO score went from an 83 to a 100. So the concept clicked for me when I saw it as SEO is partly just giving the machine the context it needs in the format it expects. The second concept is one that gave me the most trouble, and it's about how React manages state, which I ran into while writing my Selenium tests. So here's the situation. In Selenium, the normal command to type into a text field is just called type, but when I used it, my forms kept failing, meaning the fields would look filled in, but when I submitted, the app behaved as if they were empty. It took me a while to understand why, and the reason is actually a good lesson about how React works, and it brought me back a couple of modules. So React doesn't read input fields directly from the page. It keeps its own internal copy of the form's data called state, and it only updates that copy when it detects a specific event. Basically, when it's notified that a user typed something. The problem was that the method I switched to for entering text was setting the visible value of the field, but it wasn't firing the event that React listens for. So the box showed text, but the React's internal state never got the message. And as far as the app was concerned, the field was still blank and the form wouldn't submit. That's why it cleared on submit, because React redrew the form from its own empty copy. The fix, if I can pull it up here, the fix was to set the value and then manually dispatch the event that tells React something changed here, so its internal state would actually update. Once I did that, the forms worked. The reason I'm highlighting this is that it really taught me the difference between what is on the screen and what the application actually knows. In React, those are two totally separate things, and the gap between them is exactly where my bug was living for approximately 12 hours. And then the third concept is automated browser testing with Selenium. I want to cover it because the mindset behind it was new to me. Up until now, the way I checked my work was to click through the app myself. Automated testing is the idea that you describe those checks once in a way that the computer can replay, so they can run the same way every single time without a person. What I came to appreciate is why that matters. A human testing by hand will eventually get tired, skip a step, or test slightly different each time. An automated test does the exact same thing on every run, which means if something breaks, you find out reliably. Setting up Selenium Suite was my first real experience with that, and it changed how I think about quality. It's less about checking something works once and more about being able to prove that it still works repeatedly. And a tool that I did not use but that I learned about in my research was that there is a way to set up the test so that it runs like 100 times in a second, which helps a developer to know how this app or how this website will go to scale. When there's 1,000 people using it at the same time, can it handle all of that at once? I thought that was pretty cool because it's something that's definitely going to be useful in the future as I start building and developing more things. So those are my 3 concepts: SEO as making a page legible to machines, React's separation between what's on screen and its internal state, and the purpose of automated testing. That's all I have for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.